Attention.
Let's talk for a second. Higher ed is moving fast, and not everything we're doing is keeping pace. Either you move with the future, or you get left behind. Insights EDU is where leaders find out what actually works. February 17th to 19th in Fort Lauderdale. Register at insightsedu.com. Ellucian Live 2026, April 19th through 22nd in beautiful Denver, Colorado, advancing infinite possibilities. And it's higher education without limits. Don't just keep up with change, lead it. Higher education leaders from around the world are coming together at Ellucian Live 2026. Across 4 unforgettable days, discover new ways to meet students where they are and make the most of your technology through inspiring sessions and hands-on demos. Together, we're leveraging AI to create deeper human connections, support every student's journey, and open doors to lifelong learning. See you in Denver. Register now at elive.ellucian.com. It's going to be
amazing.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience Podcast, where we make education your business. This is Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. We are back on another episode, and I have a first-time guest co-host and a first-time guest on EdUp, which I love. I love to bring people together. It's awesome. I love the saying that says, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I'm always in the right room, especially today. I'm going to bring in my guest co-host. He is Austin Doyle, and he's a senior partner, executive at NAC. Did I get that right, Austin, your title?
You did, Alvin. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I got nervous there. Sorry about that. All right, great. Well, thanks for being here, Austin. Oh, tell us a little bit about NAC, just in case people are not aware of what you do.
Yeah, so NAC is a company I've been with for a little over a decade now. We help institutions scale academic support services through a pretty innovative Uber-like approach to campus peer tutoring. So goals really around creating more equitable access to academic support, creating flexible job opportunities, and really helping our partners strengthen that overall community on campus by helping more folks engage with each other.
I love it. You got it down pat. You can tell you've been there 10 years. That's awesome. Well done, Austin. That was great. Appreciate that. All right, let's bring in our guest. He is Dr. Stephen Johnson, Provost and Chief Academic Officer at Palm Beach Atlantic University. Stephen, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks, Alvin. Really appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you taking the time. We know it's always busy, especially around this time. So let's get right into it, Stephen. Tell us all about what you do and how do you do it?
Well, the role of the provost is to guide all things academic at a given university. So anything from the work that the students are when they come in and enter a program, how do they succeed as they walk through the work of the faculty, the work of the schools, the programs, how the whole engine of an academy works. And so I have the privilege of working with a lot of great leaders in this space. So deans of different schools. And here at PBA, we've got a little over 4,000 students. We've got 8 different schools and colleges, over 100 academic programs ranging undergraduate through the doctoral level. So a real comprehensive university. The school's been around for about 57 years. We're a faith-based institution here in South Florida. So right in the heart of West Palm Beach, and we are downtown. And so it's really been wonderful. I've been here 2 years. And so coming to PBA, a space where an urban campus on the coast that is faith-based really is this sweet mix of opportunity. There's a lot of energy here on the campus, and a lot of that's from our students, but it's also just being in the city. And right here, we're right by the beach. It's in the name, Palm Beach Atlantic University. So we're right here just within walking distance. And so it's wonderful to see students walking across campus with surfboards. Not always something that you'd see at a university campus, but it's really wonderful to see. But also across the street, we've got Wall Street South, the largest concentration of billionaires in the world, just right across on this island over here. And we've got the headquarters for lots of different places moving into the area. So it's wonderful. A lot of Fortune 100s, 500s, just right in the space. Goldman Sachs came across. So the opportunity for internships in spaces for our students to get hands-on and also to get those leaders coming onto campus. So all that to say, it's just really a wonderful, vibrant university, and just really happy to be here and to be a part of the team.
That sounds fantastic. I don't know how you get work done. I see the palm trees in the background, the beach.
It's nice. You have to face away from it. Don't look at it.
That's awesome.
It's
All right.
true.
So before I pass it over to Austin, I got one,
Yep.
one follow-up question for you.
Yep.
So I kind of want to know more about how you got to where you are now. I mean,
Sure.
what was your higher ed
Yeah.
journey?
Yeah, great question. So I've always been interested in sort of the impact of education. You know, even as a kid, I was always touched by my teachers. Going up through college, always touched and really sensed, okay, this is the direction that I need to go in. And being a Christian, I've been praying about and trying to figure out what does that path look like? How does that work for me? And so really had this clear sense that it was my task, my calling to go into all the education I can in my areas of passion, which I'm a composer. So I'm in the humanities. So anything that moves an idea into reality and lived experience has been a part of my whole journey and my education. So I thought I'd be a teacher. So I went through all the education and really had that clean, clear path right into a faculty role, which is not always easy. So I was just thrilled that that worked out. And then shortly after I was in the faculty ranks, I got a call to consider an administrative role. And so moving from a faculty to a dean, I got to say, from a faculty perspective, it's like moving to the dark side. It's just, it's not really, you don't always wake up and you think that's what you're going to do. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, yeah, this is the extension, because I love that work that faculty get to do. And shifting over into administration, my job is to really help the faculty do what they do, support them, be a hedge of protection where I can, so they can focus on what they love the most and what they were called and trained to do. And I've just been in this higher education leadership space for over 20 years. Moved through a couple of dean roles, served in the provost office at a couple of different universities, and enjoyed the last 2 years here at PBA. So I think it's this idea really of saying, what is the impact of higher education? How can we leverage sort of the way that we're wired in such a way that it makes the biggest impact on the world? So I think all of that piece ties into heart, passion, and I'm just thrilled to really be a part of it.
That's awesome. I just want to say that I've heard that quite a few times. The dark side. Dun, dun. When you get up.
It can be real. You got to watch out. It can be real.
Over to you, Austin.
Yeah, Stephen, I appreciate that. And I have a couple quick question here I want to do to kind of level set on some of my follow-ups here. But you shared a lot about Palm Beach Atlantic, the energy on the coast there. And quick personal anecdote, I grew up in Southwest Florida. I had a number of friends that ended up going to Palm Beach Atlantic, and I can tell you firsthand, as they were doing visits to the St. Leo's, the Stetsons, those institutions, the moment they went to your campus, came back, said, that's where I'm going. So it's no surprise to see that enrollment is growing today. I think you guys are up, 3% year over year, and have been growing the past few consistently. From your seat today, what are the challenges with regards to that growth that you're seeing? You're an urban-based campus, so I know you're slightly limited from my understanding in your ability to kind of grow into that from a space perspective. Talk us through a little bit about where the institution is at on that side of the house and what opportunities you're seeing as enrollment continues to grow.
Yeah, thanks. So we do have our applications have gone through the roof. We're really thrilled for that. Our selectivity has also increased, and so it's been interesting to sort of walk through that space where a number of institutions they're facing the opposite challenge, right? They're facing a lot of challenges with enrollment, with applications, and so to be on this space where we're walking through sort of how do you thoughtfully do that? How do you keep this, this specialness of a campus that's been around for almost 60 years, and it has been smaller, and we're in this growth space for a good half decade now. And so walking through that is really interesting. And so there's a lot of aspects to it. You look at sort of the people flow and facilities management. You've got an older campus, and so we have to engage all things from maintenance and upkeep to how do we just expand for these students well. And in some cases, it's expanding for new students. But to be honest, a lot of our expansion is really focusing on doing a better job of taking care of the students that we have. And so as we think about that student experience, we know we need to improve a number of things. So we've got this brand new 6-story business building right here in the heart of downtown. And we can't spread out like a number of campuses maybe that are in more rural based areas. Being in an urban space, we're landlocked. And so in most of our opportunities are really demo and build up. That's what's in front of us in terms of helping to curate what does this experience look like. So we've got a new 6-story business hall. It's going to have some nice dining areas, a lot of new classrooms for our students. It's going to be a real state-of-the-art space, stock trading room, and all those kind of things. It's going to be lovely. And so that's opening up here just in a couple of months. And so if you come on campus, you'll see construction cranes everywhere. You'll see construction happening all over. That's one of them. The other projects that we have going is it's not exciting to talk about, but it's so needed, which is parking. And so the fact that we're building a 9-story parking garage right in the middle of downtown actually is really transformative for our community. Because right now our students and our staff and our faculty, they've got to park all over the city and then find their way. And so we're creating a centered space for them. We also have a 25-story residence hall that's going up, and that's going to open up in about a year and a half. And so we're just very excited about all of that. So new opportunities for students. So really, facilities is a big part of it. How do you take care of the students that you have, and how do you create a space for them to have a solid experience? And so thinking about students not needing to be commuting in such a high volume, thinking about students who can be right on the campus puts us more in line with a lot of the other institutions that are like us in some way. So you've got the facilities piece. You also have the idea of a lot of students who come here. I was talking with a prospective student family just last week, like, why are you interested in coming to PBA, and where else are you looking? What are the kinds of places that you're looking for? And so whenever they say, we're excited to come to a place that's more of an urban, but it's not a huge urban environment. It's so West Palm Beach has got this sweet spot right now where I think it's a city that's just realizing it's growing up a little bit. And so the students can get an urban experience without being completely lost in a city. But there's this cultural vibe that's also important to look at. I think when we take a look at the changing needs of students, that's a big part of how we handle not just the idea of growth, but the idea of care, I think, for our students. And so when the students come here, everyone talks about the changing needs for students, and how do you reach out? How do you create a frictionless experience for them? How do you keep a finger on the pulse without being too intrusive, right? So all these little balancing acts that everyone's trying to find is really high on our minds on how can we do that well. So we want our students to come in and have a fabulous experience from start to finish. And so I would say the institution is in a space of growth, not only in terms of our applications and the controlled growth in our total student numbers and the growth in the facilities and infrastructure, but we're also growing in terms of how we care for our students. What are the services that we bring? How do we give them a safe and protected environment from multiple different levels? From ability for their research, how do we engage the whole AI scene? How do we do a number of things that help them move through so when they graduate, they're just really prepared to walk across the street into Goldman Sachs or one of these great, wonderful companies and just be ready to lead from the moment that they leave the institution. So there's a lot of care and a lot of energy that's happening, not just in terms of how we create a good experience, but how do we help prepare these students to come out and lead when they graduate.
That's really helpful to understand. And I want to double click into one of the topics you just mentioned a moment ago, which was the AI space.
Yeah.
Obviously, your background's in the humanities. So I'd love to know, both from your perspective, the institutions as a whole, how are you leaning into that space for students on campus? I think we're in an ever-changing environment. I hear folks across the country, a decade ago when I first got into NAC, the computer science, the engineering majors were blossoming. And now it seems like students are starting to shift away from that. From your perspective, what are the trends you're seeing as it relates to the students, where their interests are with regards to that burgeoning space, and how, as the institution, are you trying to facilitate students leaning into that in an intentional manner?
Yeah, it's a great question. And oh man, it's huge, right? It's absolutely a wild space. And you talk about the humanities versus engineering, computer sciences, and the AI space. Right, literally, again, right across the street, I was at this wonderful conference, this AI conference, where we had a lot of tech industry leaders come in. And one of the speakers was the head of AI for IBM. And what's interesting about his background is he was an English major and leading AI for IBM. And just, it's really interesting to say, who do we think should be in these spaces and how do we engage? One of the things that's part of the institution's um, DNA, what's in the water for us, is we're a liberal arts university with all these professional extensions, all these great schools of nursing and pharmacy and business as a part of who we are. But at our heart and everywhere is liberal arts. And when we think about engaging AI, you need this critical mind. You need a space that, from our perspective, uh, you need to be able to lead with discernment. And how do you engage with discernment and thoughtfulness and go out and make a difference? We were talking with the Business Developers Board here in West Palm Beach, and they're on the hunt for graduates who can come out and really they're focusing on like soft skills. They want someone who can show up. They want someone who can be on time. They want someone who has an open mind, who's teachable. They want someone who can also navigate this AI world because everybody is trying to figure it out, and everybody feels the same way. I believe everyone feels behind. Like there's nobody who feels like they're on top of it. It's it's pretty wild, right? So when we think about helping our students in that space, there's a lot of different things that we can look at on it. And I would say, from an institution's perspective, we're in the game, and I think that's kind of the important piece for everyone: is you have to get engaged. You have to take a step. You need to move forward, and that's where we've leaned into in the last half year or 3/4 of the year. Um, we brought together, I mean, it's a big issue. So we brought together a bunch of faculty. So over the summer, we had like 6 different faculty working groups on this. We looked at policy. What kind of AI policy are we going to have as an institution? We looked at what do we do in the classroom? How do you set the parameters for when you use it, when you don't use it? So we had to like walk through and create a usable policy that fit everybody at the institution, and to give everybody levers to pull and lanes to go in. And how do you be clear? Because you got to set good expectations for those students. We've looked at also, how do you create a safe environment? How do you go about creating a space where if you are a faculty member or a student and you really want to engage AI as a part of your research, that it won't just be stolen or copied or taken and, as a part of a learning scenario for somebody else's project, so how do you create protected spaces? And so we've had to walk through all that. What's been really interesting, in all of this, and I don't know, I'm sure I feel like everyone else is up on it more than I am, but the issue in the last 3-4 months has just taken off, and it's something that we're just grappling with, is all things around academic integrity when it comes to AI usage. So like there are all these protected programs, like HonorLock and Proctorio, where you can take an exam in a protected way. And now there are just so many ways that those can be circumvented. And, people can cheat really subtly. And they can do it, and it's really harder and harder and harder to detect. All these programs, they're coming out, and these platforms are working hard, and they're coming up with some great solutions, and they're going to be launching in just a couple weeks. Meanwhile, the tech keeps flying, right? And so now, you go to, okay, well, I'm going to do an offline scenario. Well, you've got smart glasses now that are so subtle that it's not like the smart glasses of old that are big like contraptions on your face, right? They just look like regular glasses. And now those glasses can scan and read and audio tell you in video just for your own eyes what you need to see. And they can do translation for you and more. And I don't know, last night I was sent a link. Someone sent me over something to look at. Is it Google's got a whole thing, Nano Banana Pro, where you can give them a sample of your handwriting, and then you can put your problem on there and take a picture of it, and it will scan all of that and put in your own handwriting the problem steps and solutions to the problem that you're supposed to do, like a digital submission, right, for of your notebook that looks like it's on your desk with your own handwriting and scribbles. Even that now can be totally taken over and run with. So it's this wild space, and we're trying to find our way in terms of how do we create a protected environment? Sure. How do we have an enterprise solution? You bet we've got it. How do you walk students through the areas of discernment and like, why are you even here? And how do you use these tools in a way that's going to help not just be the crutch, not just be the shortcut, but how can you use these tools in a way that will help propel you forward, to enhance your thinking, to not just have you give a presentation on the teleprompter of your AI glasses, that somebody else wrote for you that you don't even know what you're talking about. How can you be really the expert in the room? Really to Elvin's point earlier, like how do you walk in and how do you learn and be the leader in that space? It's really wonderful. So we have to walk our students through that. And one of the areas I think that we do that pretty well is really in the why questions, right? So faith-based institution, there's this whole idea to excellence, to beauty, to from our perspective, from creation, from how God has wired you to your uniqueness. And I'll tell you one of the scariest things that I'm going to be sharing with the faculty in just a couple of weeks when we all come back from the holidays is there is an app that's out there, and there's this 3-minute video, and it's one of, I would say, the scariest videos I think I've ever seen on this, where if you record a person and ask them to talk for a couple of minutes, and you video them, there will be an AI generation of that person, of how they look, obviously, and how they sound. And then the content will be evolving AI generated content. And it's the idea that you can do this of a loved one who might be older, like a grandma or something like that, who, you want to capture for your child. Then as your child grows up, they have a relationship with this AI generated version of their grandma throughout the course of their life. And they're having conversation. And the grandma's referencing things from their earlier conversation from years prior. So just this idea of like, what's real and what's the value of our life, and how can you really capture a person in a couple minutes and hang on to that as a relationship foundation point that will last for years? Like, how does this work? So the world is changing, and how do we engage it thoughtfully and really grab meaning and significance in what we do? So I'll just say, like, this is the landscape that we're all trying to walk in, and it's a great place to see, not just the intersection for innovation, but the why behind it, which I think is really, really critical to make a difference in our world. So that's kind of a little bit of a snapshot of some of the things that we're dealing with in your question on the AI space.
No, that's fantastic. I think that was a pretty accurate encapsulation of the moment in time. It's a exciting time. It's a scary time. It's a time that's, I think, more importantly, filled with a lot of opportunity. And folks like yourselves who are in those roles of helping shepherd students into this next phase of their life, it's critical, the work that you all are doing. I think what's really interesting right now, you touched on something around the access to technology outside of the walls of the institution versus inside of the walls of the institution. We, as a company that's in the academic technology space, we help facilitate human-to-human connections, right? It's all based around the course curriculum, peer tutoring, and folks left and right are asking, how is AI going to impact your business? How are LLMs going to impact the ability for folks to access information? I think the one thing that I've always found interesting, and this is kind of a transition into the question I want to ask here, is the opportunity that we have to say, hey, I think there's an opportunity for artificial intelligence to augment what we're doing, to help provide supplementary resources that are going to assist two students sitting down working through a problem set together. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that we do is connecting two students together, allowing them to sit down across from a table, work together. Access to information is going to continue to shorten. Students are going to be able to find it much faster off campus than they ever will within the walls of what you guys are able to provide, I think. But I'd love to hear, and I think you guys have a really unique positioning as a faith-based institution. I was raised in the church, transparently. I think through my middle school, high school years, I found myself distancing from it a little bit. And I think it's because in my childhood, I was more pushed into it. And it's been fantastic the last 6, 8, 10 years as I've grown up. I've shifted more and more back towards it. And I think it's really happened in parallel with a lot of these advances in technology and my own experiences in our company, which is as I've grown older, really starting to appreciate what's most important, which is the community. It's the people that are around me, how they influence everything I do in my day to day life beyond how that technology is setting me up to access that information. And I'd love to hear from your perspective. You gave us the answer on how you're utilizing AI, your thoughts on it from an institutional perspective. How are you striking that balance of students maintaining those human connections, as you talked about at the start of the conversation, that well-rounded individual, that individual that when they graduate doesn't just know how to answer that question technically, but knows how to sit down with somebody, build a story, communicate effectively, and help folks see aligned on what the mission is that they're both trying to accomplish together?
Let's go
to insightsedu.com. Remember that URL because let's be honest, how much of what you're doing at work right now is actually working? It's time to inject fresh ideas and effective strategies. And Insights EDU is for these leaders that want to see results. The conversations are direct, the sessions are outstanding, and the people in the room are there to solve real problems, not protect a status quo. Insights EDU 2026 is February 17 to 19 in Fort Lauderdale. No fluff, no recycled playbooks, just what works now. Register today at insightsedu.com. Ellucian Live 2026 is taking place April 19th through 22nd, 2026 in Denver, Colorado. Advancing infinite possibilities. Turn innovation into action with AI-powered solutions, student-first strategies, and a global network of fellow leaders at Ellucian Live 2026, higher education's premier global technology conference. It's going to be
amazing.
That's a great question. It's a great question. And I think, it touches on, the idea of development. It touches on the thought of what is a leader and how do you become a leader? And I'll say, for a period of time, you've got a number of students who really their educational experience was largely dominated during the COVID time, right? When everything was digital for them. And, during that time, I was in LA County, which was one of the most restrictive counties in the country when it came to your ability to go out, your ability to do things. And we noticed during that time, really, it was 18 months that the lockdown was in play for LA County. It's just a long time in that spot. During that time, you had students, and I was talking with a teacher of the fourth grade. And, during that time, what happens during the classroom was one experience. But what was interesting was talking with them, what happened right afterwards when the students came back to school. She was talking about how they had to teach kids how to run. Can you believe it? Because kids would run like they saw it on the cartoons. And if you think of like anime during that time, you've got people who are running like with their arms straight and behind them and their head forward and just kind of running. They had to teach kids how to run. And so during that time, those kids then kind of go through and they then come to college. And, there's gaps that you're trying to figure out, how can we help you and how can we fix that? And so I think we're coming to a space where people are beginning to normalize a bit more, and a lot of that dramatic shift has gone down. But we still have a scenario where a number of our students are, I believe, on two sides of the coin. Some of our students, they really feel safer behind the screen. They feel safer. You can camera off You can disengage the moment something becomes uncomfortable. You can say, I don't want to deal with this right now in that kind of environment. And then you have other students who are just almost so anti-tech. They're just excited to be around people. They're just excited about life, right? So you've got a bit of a mixed divide that could be extreme in some cases. And so what we found is that the students here love the interaction. And so if you think about a campus, it's about 4,000 students. Uh, it's not a very, very large university where you can get lost in the crowd. It's like a big enough space where you can have mixed interactions, but also you can get familiarity in the spaces and in the relationships and with the people. And so we found that in some cases, we need to continue to be sort of on the front edge of our seats, prompting students for engagement and providing opportunities and asking questions and allowing a little bit of dead air to linger, to have students forced to engage. And one of the most interesting things is we've seen this uptick of engagement in what we call sort of our smaller class size, higher selectivity type areas. So our honors program has just taken off. And so our students love the idea of, a little seminar style engagement. They love the idea of being asked deep questions. They love that they need to read, the primary resources of these ancient texts, and they need to be able to wrestle with tough language that's, translated from a language that they're not comfortable with, or it's very old English. They've got to engage with it. They have to really speak into it. And in that space, we've sort of limited AI engagement there. But then we also have students who are in our leadership programs, and those programs have taken off as well. And it's this idea of how do you bring together how you are wired, how God has made you. How do you bring that together with, you don't know exactly where you're going to go. You might think you know where you're going to go in the future, but you really don't. How do you prepare for that unknown? And how do you prepare to make a difference in the lives of other people? And how can we engage that from a multiple different angles? One of the areas where we push on trying to develop people, getting to this thought of how we engage, right? So there's a unique aspect to the university where we've put a wonderful institutional label on it called workship. And so we've got, if you think in the Christian space, you've got worship. And we also think about civil discourse, and we've got wordship, but we also have this thing called workship. So we have all these ships going around. What's interesting about the workship idea is really community service with heart. And so we've got at our campus over 4 million hours of students going out into the community, making a difference. And that's a requirement of service hours that they need to do. But almost across the board, the students blow the requirement out of the water. I mean, they just really appreciate being out in the community. So anything from helping out assisted living spaces to cleaning up beaches to working with the streets and trying to tidy those things up. Sure, we also engage with how do we help really elevate some adult reading spaces and literacy issues across the town. Just really anything that touches sort of the heart of what makes a difference in another person's life is something that we're trying to push. Yeah, on the academic side, yes, on sort of the student development side, but also on how do you reach out and how do you get outside of your comfort zones and how do you do that? And the stories that come back from our students on that, those are just the most exciting ones because, at first they weren't sure, they didn't think they had time. Then they get out there and they find some opportunity to make a difference in the lives of somebody else, and they sense that reward of that work that they do, not for themselves but for others, and it really starts to transform them and how they do that. The wordship one is really interesting too when we think about development and character, because we have to help our students learn how to articulate but also how to listen. How do you actively listen? Because it's in listening and by like looking in the eyes of the person across from you, you don't maybe share their same positions or beliefs or, understanding. How do you actually listen to learn? and not just listen to understand. And I know that's an old adage that we've all heard, but we found that we really need to be proactive in providing those opportunities and those expectations for our students to do that. So we try to like hit it from all those different angles: academic, student development, service, and sort of civil discourse pieces.
That service learning opportunity, I think, is a really interesting one to me. We're in an interesting space. We talk about students helping students. And obviously, I think when everybody talks about tutoring, the emphasis goes on the students that are receiving support primarily. I think we've always been quite biased that the opportunity is equally as impactful, if not more impactful, for that student who's actually in the leadership opportunity doing that tutoring. And what I think is critical about that is the moment for guided self-reflection, for feedback after the session there. And so I'd love to understand from your perspective, when you talk about, not to drill in too deeply there, but from that student who might have been nervous to go out and do that volunteer experience, to engage at the elderly home, what does that post-activity process look like? And I would have to think that's so illuminating for that individual as they go back for the second and third time and really start to lean in and see that, yes, this is a box I'm checking at first to help out this elderly home, to help kind of satiate my requirements. But I would imagine that kind of ability to retain those students based off of that guided self-reflection is probably really, really critical, and I think even more illuminating for the students themselves.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Having the opportunity, like from your standpoint, talking about the students tutoring and the benefit from those who are giving, right? In that leadership service work of helping other students. That's the best place that you learn. It's how you really can exercise a muscle that you maybe weren't sure that you had before. And I think similarly with the service work that we do here, we find similar things where, again, the students are on this developmental discovery space, some of the most formative years of their life. It's a sacred space, I feel like, in any person's life to say, yeah, I'm going to carve out some time and carve out a few years and really prepare myself for whatever my future happens to be. As part of that, you're doing these service projects and you're saying, I didn't know this about myself. Or, I'm helping out some kids in an after school program of some kind. I didn't think I had a passion for that. And I found out maybe I really do. And kids aren't so horrible. And I can really, so you've got these self-discovery moments that then do shape what they want to sign up for again and what they want to go back into. Also, what's interesting is seeing how students say, well, I didn't think that about myself in this one. And for example, in the helping kids in an after school program, I wonder what else I have assumptions about that I need to go after. And so what I find with our students in this self-reflection component and having conversations with them is really a lot of courage. They have a lot of courage to say, I want to go after this. Okay, I'm going to change. Next semester, I'm going to go after this. Okay, great. Next, I'm going to go after this. Or I'm doing a mission trip, or I'm doing a study away trip. I went to Thailand last year. That was great. I never thought I'd want to go there, but man, what a transformative moment. Now this coming year, I'm going to go to Finland and Germany. I was talking with a student yesterday who's making those kind of pivots. And so just this idea of saying, I want to grab the world. And I think what's really exciting is it's almost been downplayed maybe in the last few decades, the idea that you can change the world. Right. And I feel like that used to be a thing, decades and decades ago. It's like that would be, and yes, you can do that. You can totally make a difference in the world. And it seems like that's kind of gotten lesser in terms of how we talk about our students. And it's a little bit more self-centered, self-directed to them instead of what can they do to impact the world. I'm seeing this resurgence that's so exciting through these different experiences that you're talking about, Austin, where the students are saying, no, I think I can make a difference here. I think I can make a difference there. And so seeing that light up in the lives of the students, we need to facilitate more of that and pour caffeine on that. It's so exciting to see. Right.
Yeah, it's that belief there. And maybe at the end of the day, that one student doesn't themselves, but there's a good chance that belief helps inspire their friends that they can. And then as that permeates out from there, that's, I think, where that difference and that impact really comes. And Stephen, I want to ask one more quick question. We're talking about experiencing new things, students getting out of their comfort zones. I don't want to pull something too far out of the back pocket, but have we had a chance to get any of the students out to the archery range yet? Is that a new experience that you've helped warm any of them up to yet?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So it's on one hand, it's my hopes and dreams. I love archery and love doing that. What is interesting is we've got a faculty member who is deep into that space and who is, on the quasi-pro circuit and has helped. And so we have seen an uptick in archery engagement with the students, a lot of great supplies and tech coming their way, but also the opportunity to get out there and to learn more, which I think anytime that you can get out and have that kind of focus. And so for me, I'm on the recurve side that gets into more of the Olympic sport style of it rather than the hunting side of it. So I'm thinking, if you're out there and there's really South Florida is fantastic for that, right? So a lot of the year you can be outside and it's okay. It's so to be outside and to have that chance to focus and to work with others is really exciting. But yeah, it's a great question. That's good.
Yeah, it's the best, and I would imagine you have to go a little bit west to do that. And I'll share as somebody who is born and raised in Florida.
Yep.
If those students are ever looking for a really different experience, or yourself included, I have dipped my toe a few times into the python eradication problem down in the Everglades there. So we're not far from you if you want to take one of those highways out west and join up with me next time I'm down there.
Talking about courage, right? So I think you just took it to a whole new level. What's interesting is we've got really a wonderful marine science, and South Florida is a wonderful ecologically diverse space. And so we've got a lot of folks who are in the environmental spaces. And so I've been invited to a number of Everglades experiences where you don't go out there in the day. You go out there and you spend the night. And what you do is you count eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do out in the swamps. Unbelievable to see what's happening. But the python eradication, have you done that? Have you?
Yeah. I've got, I think, 8 or 9 I've caught so far. But I think too, it's really funny how aligned it is with a lot of the things you've said today. Being out in the Everglades, it's a lot about listening. It's a beautiful place at night, and a lot of the folks that I speak to really don't understand how gorgeous of a place it is. It's one of my favorite places in the world, and to that idea of belief, that python issue is a real issue down there. If you've spent any time in the Everglades around the Sawgrass, it's not one person that's going to solve that problem, but you can try and you can inspire others, and hopefully just trying to do my part so that when I'm lucky enough to have children, the Everglades look like it did for me for them.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah. What a great conversation. We're coming up on time. Stephen, I got to ask you, and I can't wait to hear your response on this one. Get your crystal ball out, Stephen. What do you see as the future of higher education?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I think a lot of things that we talked about already are a part of that, right? So the future of higher education, you can look at it from so many different levels and perspectives. There is this balance of, I think, nimbleness that is needed, and also the space of heart and purpose that has got to be in the water on that too. And so when we think about higher education, and a lot of people will talk about it in terms of the delivery of information, and I just really think that's off the mark, quite strongly, because what's interesting, and we've talked a lot about and we've used the word development quite a bit in the conversation. So the future of higher education is thriving and successful as long as the idea of development is really, I think, at the heart. And so for us at PBA, we look at, our mission statement is to grow in wisdom, lead with conviction, serve God boldly. Growing, leading, serving, all of that are key components to a developmental mindset as we take a look at it. So if we are developing students for the sake of, yes, helping them, but also with that heart of why. behind all of it. What's missional to who you are and what you're doing. And for us, we want to make a difference in the world for Christ. We want to make a difference in the world for the betterment of humanity. We want to make a difference in the world for others and to find fulfillment in doing that. And so when you are thinking of the many different, you're going to change majors in your undergraduate experience more than probably we ever thought we did years ago. You're going to change your major. It's a part of that finding the why question. And so I think the future of higher education, what is the future? That's the crystal ball. I don't know if I can totally help you on that. But in terms of the how is the future developed, I'd love to say, as long as we're nimble and we continue to stay anchored on, are we helping our students to become leaders, to develop into the person that God's called them to be? And are we showing them this is the pathway that you can make a difference when you step off this campus and step into the career or the other grad school or whatever that God's called you to, that you can be successful in that space? There's a lot of balancing acts in this, but if we lose the why, I think we've lost it all. And so keeping the heart of the students and helping them to develop into the calling that they've got in front of them is really at the heart of who we are.
Yes, I love it. Amen. I love that. That's awesome. What a great conversation. Let me first outro my guest co-host, Austin Doyle, Senior Partner Executive at NAC. Austin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Alvin, thanks for having us. Stephen, it was an absolute pleasure.
Likewise. This was lovely. Thank you both.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me outro you. He is Dr. Stephen Johnson, Provost and Chief Academic Officer at Palm Beach Atlantic University, PBA. Stephen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Happy to be here. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd.
Be honest with yourself for a second. How much of what you're doing at work right now is actually working? That question came up again and again at Insights EDU last year. You guys already know this isn't your typical higher ed conference. And I've got to be honest, I've been to a lot of higher ed events, and Insights EDU is just different. The conversations are direct, the sessions are outstanding, and the people in the room are there to fix real problems, not defend the status quo. That's why Insights EDU 2026 matters. It's 3 days in Fort Lauderdale, February 17 to 19, focusing on real strategy for higher ed. No fluff, no recycled playbooks, just what works now. You can keep wasting time with what feels safe, or you can get in the room where smarter decisions are being made. Register today at insightsedu.com.
You just made the list! Attention.
It's time to register for Lucian Live, April 19th through 22nd, 2026 in Denver, Colorado, advancing infinite possibilities. And it's higher education without limits. Don't just keep up with change, lead it. Higher ed leaders from around the world are coming together at Lucian Live 2026. Across 4 unforgettable days, you'll discover new ways to meet students where they are and make the most of your technology through inspiring sessions and hands-on demos. Together, we're leveraging AI to create deeper human connections, support every student's journey, and open doors to lifelong learning. See you in Denver. Register now at elive.elucian.com.